Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real English Podcast.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Emily.
So today we're talking about something super important,
What's that?
the subtleties of English politeness.
Oh, that sounds tricky but super useful.
Yeah, especially for near-native learners.
Exactly. We'll help you navigate formal and informal expressions.
Right. Politeness can change based on who you're talking to.
Like how you talk to your boss versus your friends?
Exactly. It's all about the context.
So, understanding these nuances will make your communication smoother.
Yeah, and that's why we're breaking it down for you.
All right, let's get into it.
But before we dive in, let's look at some key vocabulary. All right, let's dive into the vocabulary preview for today's episode.
Yeah, we've got 3 key words that'll help you understand the nuances of politeness.
First up, deference.
Deference.
So, deference is about showing respect and yielding to someone else's opinion or wishes.
Right? Like when you say, I think you're right, let's go that way, instead of arguing.
Exactly. It's common in formal settings, like meetings or with elders.
But you can also use it informally, like with friends, to be polite.
Next word is diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
Diplomacy is about handling situations sensitively, especially in conflicts.
Yeah, like when you want to criticize someone without offending them?
For example, I think there might be a better way to approach this.
Exactly. It's about choosing words carefully to maintain harmony.
Our last word is courtesy.
Courtesy.
Courtesy is about being polite and considerate in everyday interactions.
Like holding the door for someone or saying thank you.
Right. It's the small acts that show respect and kindness.
And it's important in both formal and informal settings.
All right, now that we've covered these words, let's move on to the dialogue section.
Hi, Oliver. I've been thinking about how to be more polite in English.
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you say that?
Well, sometimes I feel like I'm not using the right tone, especially in formal situations.
I see it's all about finding the right balance between deference and diplomacy, I suppose.
Exactly. But how do you know when to be more formal versus when to relax?
Good question. It really depends on who you're talking to. With colleagues, I try to strike a balance between courtesy and being approachable.
Right? Maybe starting with formal greetings and seeing how they respond?
That's a good strategy, but don't forget to pay attention to their body language too.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's all about reading the room, isn't it?
Exactly. And remember, being polite isn't just about words, it's also about showing genuine interest.
True. I should practice more in different settings.
Absolutely. Keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it.
All right, so we just went through that dialogue about being polite in English. Right? And I think Emily mentioned something about finding the right balance. That's a key phrase, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Finding the right balance is crucial because you don't want to come off as too formal or too casual. It really depends on the situation, right?
Exactly. So let's dive into some of the words and phrases we heard. First up, deference. What does that mean, Emily?
Well, deference means showing respect or yielding to someone else's wishes. Like, if someone is more senior or in a position of authority, you might show deference by being extra polite.
Got it. So, for example, in a job interview, you'd show deference to the interviewer, right?
Exactly. You'd probably use more formal language and be more respectful to show deference.
Moving on to diplomacy. That was another term we heard. How would you explain that, Emily?
Diplomacy is about being tactful and handling sensitive situations without causing offense. It's like being smooth in your communication, especially when dealing with conflicts or delicate topics.
So using diplomacy in a conversation means you're careful with your words to avoid upsetting someone. That makes sense.
Yes, exactly. For instance, giving feedback in a diplomatic way would involve phrasing your criticism politely so it's constructive rather than hurtful.
And then there's courtesy. We mentioned that too. How does courtesy play into politeness?
Courtesy is like being kind and considerate towards others. It's about common manners, like saying please and thank you, or holding the door for someone.
So, it's more about the everyday acts of kindness that make interactions smoother and more pleasant.
Exactly. Courtesy is the foundation of being polite. Without it, even the most formal language might not be enough to make someone feel respected.
Speaking of which, we also heard the phrases finding the right balance and strike a balance. What's the difference between them?
Well, finding the right balance is about discovering the correct mix between formality and informality. Strike a balance is more about achieving that equilibrium in the moment.
So, for example, if you're at a business lunch, you want to find the right balance between being professional and personable. And during the conversation, you might need to strike a balance by adjusting your tone to match the other person's level of formality.
Exactly. And then there's pay attention to body language. Body language is super important because it can either reinforce or contradict your spoken words.
Right? So if you're trying to be polite, but your body language is closed off or aggressive, it might send mixed signals. That's why it's important to pay attention to your body language in polite situations.
So, to sum up, these words and phrases are all about navigating politeness in English. They help us understand how to be respectful, tactful, and kind, whether we're in formal or informal settings.
All right, so we've been talking about politeness in English, right? It's interesting how even small phrases can change the tone of a conversation.
Yeah, totally. Like when you say, "Could you pass the salt?" versus "Can you pass the salt?" There's a difference.
Exactly. Could sounds more polite, but sometimes it can feel a bit too formal. It depends on who you're talking to, right?
I guess so. So, how do we strike a balance between being polite and not sounding awkward?
That's a good question. Maybe it's about knowing your audience. If you're with friends, you can be more casual, but with strangers, or in professional settings, a bit more formality goes a long way.
Right? And body language plays a role too. Like, even if you use the right words, if your body language is off, it might send the wrong message.
Exactly. So, it's not just about the words, but how you deliver them. What do you think, Emily? Have you ever been in a situation where your politeness was misinterpreted?
Oh yeah. I remember once at a coffee shop, I said, "Excuse me, could I get a refill?" But the barista looked a bit confused. Maybe I was too polite.
Ha! That happens. Sometimes over-politeness can feel a bit distant. Maybe in a casual setting, something like, "Can I get another coffee?" would have worked better.
Exactly. It's all about context. So, how do we learn to adjust our politeness level naturally?
Practice, I guess. Paying attention to how others communicate and mirroring that tone. It's like a dance, finding the right balance.
Yeah, it's a skill. But with time, it gets easier. What about you, Jack? Any funny politeness stories?
Once I was in a meeting and used a really formal phrase, and everyone looked at me like I was from another planet. It was awkward.
Oh no, that sounds rough. But it's a good learning experience, right?
Definitely. Now I make sure to observe the group dynamic before choosing my words. It's all about finding that middle ground.
Exactly. So let's talk about some phrases that can help in different situations. Maybe we can go through some examples and see how they work.
Great idea. Let's dive into some specific phrases and see how they fit into various contexts. This will help learners strike the right balance in their communication. We'll now replay the dialogue so you can listen again and better understand how these concepts of deference, diplomacy, and courtesy are put into practice.
Hi, Oliver. I've been thinking about how to be more polite in English.
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you say that?
Well, sometimes I feel like I'm not using the right tone, especially in formal situations.
I see it's all about finding the right balance between deference and diplomacy, I suppose.
Exactly. But how do you know when to be more formal versus when to relax?
Good question. It really depends on who you're talking to. With colleagues, I try to strike a balance between courtesy and being approachable.
Right? Maybe starting with formal greetings and seeing how they respond?
That's a good strategy, but don't forget to pay attention to their body language too.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's all about reading the room, isn't it?
Exactly. And remember, being polite isn't just about words, it's also about showing genuine interest.
True. I should practice more in different settings.
Absolutely. Keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it.
Hey Emily, did you catch how Sophia started with a formal greeting?
Oh yeah, it was so smooth. She said, "Hi Oliver, I've been thinking about how to be more polite in English."
Exactly. It's all about starting right. But I wonder, how do you know when to switch from formal to informal?
Good question. Maybe it's about the setting and who you're talking to, like Sophia mentioned.
All right, let's dive into some phrase practice. Pay attention to the tone and context.
You can start by repeating these phrases to get a feel for their politeness level.
Hi, Oliver. I've been thinking about how to be more polite in English. Oh, that's interesting. Why do you say that? Well, sometimes I feel like I'm not using the right tone, especially in formal situations. I see. It's all about finding the right balance between deference and diplomacy, I suppose. Exactly. But how do you know when to be more formal versus when to relax? Good question. It really depends on who you're talking to. With colleagues, I try to strike a balance between courtesy and being approachable. Right. Maybe starting with formal greetings and seeing how they respond. That's a good strategy, but don't forget to pay attention to their body language too. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's all about reading the room, isn't it? Exactly. And remember, being polite isn't just about words, it's also about showing genuine interest. True. I should practice more in different settings. Absolutely. Keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it.
Thank you all for joining us today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
We'll see you again in our next episode. Keep practicing, and until then, keep learning.